Well, the M got grumpy the other day on the way home and dropped me down to half a motor. And so we're going to diagnose him and see what's going on. So let me fire this thing up and I'll show you what it's doing in case you run into this same thing. Alright, so we got our little motor showing. Quite unhappy, service engine soon. And if we look over here, we see engine malfunction, reduced power. So the car is not happy at all. Let's go over here and see what it says on its conditions. If I go to info sources, service info, check control messages, it says engine malfunction, increased emissions. So that's a pretty good sign that something's up. I can feel it kind of jiggling. And you can see that my RPMs got cut down to half, and now my little motor's showing half. So let's get INPA set up on here and just see what's going on with this grumpy thing. Alright, so we got our computer hooked up, so let's hop in here and fire it up. We'll walk through how to get to seeing what the issue is with INPA. Alright, so we're fired up. So let's go in here to INPA. Let me get it opened up. Alright, so let's launch INPA. We can see what's going on. Alright, so we are running e63, so we got to hit F4, function F4, and then we want to go to the engine, and then we want to pick the e65. It's going to give us a couple mismatch errors. Alright, so let's read what's going on. So we want to hit F4, and that takes us to our checks. So then F1 tells us what the errors are, and it tells us that we have a misfire on cylinder 9. So you can see right there. I'll zoom in on that. Right there, we got a misfire on cylinder 9 is one of our codes. It says we got 7 in memory. So misfire cylinder 9. This one says we've gone into safe mode in the car. Same thing, same thing. Cylinder 9, the last time it did it. It does it every time you start it. It says cylinder 2 misfire. And that's it. Alright, so it looks like we got a misfire on cylinder 2 and cylinder 9 possibly. So we need to go over and see what they look like and see where the misfires are. So let's go to F5 and then F4 to get us our misfire detection. Zoom back out a little bit. So we want to go to F4. We can see what's going on with the spark quality. So here's our 10 cylinders. The duration is looking like it's okay, but for sure number 9 there is off the chart. Something's wrong with it. The rest of them are bouncing around pretty good. So that cylinder 2 just may have been a irregularity. It's moving a little bit, but this one is definitely dead. So looks like we got a misfire in the car that's causing it to go down to half motor. and give me all this grief. Alright, so we definitely got a problem with cylinder 9 here, and I'm hoping maybe it's just a bad coil. I've had to swap a few, so I had one in the trunk because I figured, they're going to go bad. And we'll get set up here on the front and see about taking this coil off. And I'll also put a picture up of what the cylinder order is for the car, so we can see which one we got to do. So we'll get set up and be right back. Alright, so let's have a look to see at this coil. So from the picture we could see that cylinder 9 is on this side and it's the second one from the back. So fortunately that's not too hard to get to. We just got to take some stuff out of the way. The ones in the back are really tough. We start with the water bottle. I'm just going to take some bolts loose for the water bottle. This is not a major bunch of work here to do this. You just got to take some stuff off, and then right down inside, in between the housing and the water bottle, is another 10 millimeter that holds the water bottle on. Yep. And we'll pull that little bolt out of there. There we are. There's the other one. And there's probably one more. And up here on top. And that should have the water bottle freed up. Now we just got to take the intake loose. So let's get us a screwdriver. And we got to take our sensor off, so that you just squeeze on the sides of it and give it a little wiggle. And it'll pop off there. Like that. Get him out of the way. Let's get our intake filter took off. Loosened up. So then these guys just sit down in some little grooves, so take them loose. Now down inside of here you'll see some little stainless clips that hold the air filter cover on. Those just have to get popped with a screwdriver. So then this guy attaches to the air filter housing. But all you got to do is just pull up on it and it pops loose. And so with no more clips, then hopefully we can just raise this off. Just raise up on it as you go so it clears the filter. And then we just slide that out. So we got that out of the way. We got to get the bottom part of the air filter housing out, and it's got a bolt over here and a bolt over here, and then that nut we took off right there. One bolt there. That one comes off, and then there's one right on the inside here that you can get to right over the top of the filter. There. Those two come off. Now there's a little thing that attaches to the wall. All you got to do is wiggle it a little bit to free it up. And you can slide the air box out of the compartment. Clear everything. And there you go. So what's in the front is this little latch right here that attaches. It goes up in the snorkel. It sits there, and that bolt is holding that in place. So I'll just leave that down in there, and we'll put that back together here in a minute. So now we got our air box out of the way. Getting freer. What we're trying to do is get this cover off. So we're just moving stuff out of the way in order to be able to access removing that cover. So now our water bottle ought to be free, and we should be able to just raise it up a little bit without disconnecting it. And hopefully lay that right out of the way. So right underneath it is a connector. So just disconnect that connector. Don't forget to hook it back up. And then you can lean the water bottle over here and it'll be out of the way. Now let me move the camera over onto this side and we'll pull that cover off and see if we can access a coil. Alright, so with everything out of the way, the little water bottle and the air filter housing, it's just a matter of getting this cover off. And in the back here, it's kind of a tight squeeze. So what we got to do is there's a big hose. Let me slide the camera around. So back here in the back corner, it's really hard to get this to pop up to clear all of the coil packs. So what we need to do is get our flashlight. Alright, so we got everything out of the way, and so really all we got to do is pull this cover. Back in the back they don't give you a lot of room, so we got to get a couple things out of the way to be able to pull that cover off. So number one, I'm going to come in here and pinch this clamp and take that hose off. Get a good bite on it. Clamp down. And I'll take this main hose off of the plenum. That'll give us a little bit of wiggle room back here. And let's pull the fuel out of the way. So that gets us a little more clearance. The other hose is a little flexible, so let's try that. So all we do is just grab it and wiggle it and get it to pop free on the front and the back like that. And it's just a matter of getting it up high enough and clearing everything and we can get it out of there. So, clear all the stuff in the front. Get this out of the way. Get a water bottle out of the way. Top of the water bottle. And then just gotta tip around on it to see if we can get it past that last coil. There we go. So what I did, I put my hand inside of it and push outward, and then you can wiggle that out of there. So there's the cover. So now we got our coil exposed. You can count from the back or from the front. So here's all the way to the front. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 9 is this coil right here that we suspect has gone back. All right. So let me zoom in here and we'll see if we can get this coil out. All right, so hiding right behind the two tubes here is the number 9. So it's 6, 7, 8, 9. And so all we want to do is get that off. So getting the connector loose is real easy. You just open the cap and it pushes off the electrical connector. Getting the coil itself out is a little complicated. If you look on this coil, what it's got is the flip lid. This is the replacement. And then there's a hole in the middle. And what you can do is actually use a 3/8 extension and slide that into there and then push up against something and actually pry that coil out of it. So, there we go. So just prying on up with this little handle and you can pull the coil out. So good news is my coil's not wet, there's no oil in it, so that means my seals are still doing good. So maybe this is just a bad coil. Alright, so it's time to install our new coil. And so if you want to make them where they'll come out there a little easier, you can use some dielectric grease. And it just makes it a little bit easier. You put it on the outside of the boot and a little on the inside. And we'll rub that onto the surface. And hopefully that's going to prevent that rubber from getting sticky. And there we go. So now, all you do is simply install it the way it came out. So we slip it back down in there. Line it up the center. Push the tab back down in position. And lock it back in. And now all we got to do is put our connector back on. And it tries to close the door for you. So then just close the door down. And there we go. Alright, so now pretty easy just to change the coil out. Now what we want to do is put all that back together. And there we go. So we're all back together. So now we can go hook up INPA, reset the faults, fire it up, and see if that fixed our problem. Alright, so we're back over here on the computer, and we're gonna load up INPA one more time. I got the ignition on, but I don't have it started. So what I'm gonna do is go through, I gotta pick F4 for the car. Let's pick the engine, and let's pick the e65. And now we want to go to F4. And so F1 tells us the codes, right? So they're still there because I hadn't cleared them. So cylinder 9 misfire. So now let's go back, and we want to go to F4. And F2 is actually clear the codes. So we just cleared the codes. So if we want to see, we go to F1 and we don't have any more codes. So now let's go back and let's go to F5 for the status, and then go to F4 for misfire detection. And the car's not running right now, so everybody's green. So theoretically, if that new coil fixed it, then this one ought to come in and bounce around all happy like the rest of them, and it won't be grumpy anymore. So let's fire it up and see what it do. Go. Car sounds so much happier. Turn my exhaust cutouts off. Car looks a lot happier. Everybody's bouncing along. All of my codes are gone. And things have come back into sync. So I don't see anybody else that's worthy to change out right now. It gave a fault that said 2. But that may have just been related to 9 kicking out and the motor getting grumpy. So there we go, all fixed up. What we thought was the end of the world for the M6, because anytime something faults on this motor, it just thinks it's dying. But what it thought was the end of the world turned out just to be a bad coil. Well, alrighty, hope this helps someone, and thanks for watching.